After all the talk and all the hype, the much-anticipated presidential debate between Scranton Joe and Teflon Don finally happened. And when all the dust from the scuffle settled, it became clear the biggest loser of the night was the American people. The two geriatrics on stage put on the worst presidential debate performance in history. Though the consensus seems to be that the reanimated corpse of Joe Biden did slightly worse, Donald Trump left much to be desired. The only real stellar performance came from the moderators, who realized that there was no need for them to make either candidate look bad. They simply had to sit back and let the inadequacies of both men speak for themselves. There were no gotcha questions, yet both men managed to fumble what should have been easy layups. And I realize I'm mixing metaphors here, but by speaking in a muddled and slightly confusing way, I find I better relate to our leaders. This was a 90-minute car crash, and we are going to sift through the debris of this wreckage on this week's Chrestman Conversation. Come check it out. Okay, everyone, welcome to the show. We are obviously going to be talking about the presidential debate. This is what everyone's going to be talking about today, probably for the next week, 2 weeks. This might actually extend what is normally a very quick news cycle. This might be a topic for quite a while, and there's going to be a number of reasons for that we're going to get into as we go on in the episode. A lot of reasons to talk about this. This debate was sad. It was sad for a number of reasons. One is a question that I have asked repeatedly. How did we wind up here? Why are these two guys on the stage? What is the deal? How did this become the choice that we have in this country right now is between Donald Trump and Joe Biden? How? Why? How? We could have asked this 4 years ago, and I would have said the same thing. These two guys, we're going to put them up there. They're the best of the best. These are the guys we want to lead the free world. It didn't make sense 4 years ago to me, and it certainly doesn't make sense now, today. These are the two guys. Okay, whatever. That's where we are. The American people let this happen. I don't know what to tell you. The American people make bad choices sometimes. This is a bad choice. We have a choice between one guy and another guy. Neither of them seem like they have a firm grasp of what's going on. I've made it very clear at this point I'm going to be voting for Donald Trump in November. At least I feel like I've made that clear. But not happily. I would have much rather had Ron DeSantis. I know people don't like Nikki Haley. I would have much rather had Nikki Haley up there. I think that there were better choices for Republicans. This debate was sad because we were watching two old men fight for a country to talk about the future of a country they're going to have nothing to do with. Now, I have no problem with the wisdom of old men, as it's often pointed out. The word Senate means old man. That is what used to be. The Roman Senate was full of wise old men. Wisdom comes with age. There is something to be said for that. But there is a diminishing point to that. And we saw that last night with Joe Biden especially. His brain does not function the way it used to. And you can't blame a stutter, and you can't blame a cold, which his team came out and tried to do. They said, well, Joe Biden has had a cold. I've never had a cold. If that's what a cold looks like, I've never had a cold. His performance was unbelievably bad. People might say Donald Trump could have done better. I'd agree with those people. He could have done better. Joe Biden's performance was terrible. Exactly what everyone has been saying about him, and it has been denied. You've seen people deny his mental decline. He's fine. He's fit. He's got the mental acuity of a young Einstein. It obviously has not been true for a long time, and that debate just showed everybody how diminished he truly is. It was sad. It was sad that is going to be the factor that decides this election, is Biden's age. Biden's age is undeniable. The fact that he's 82 right now, is 82? Is that right? The fact that he is as old as he is, it's just shocking. And there are people out there. Thomas Sowell's in his 90s. If you put Thomas Sowell, I saw him just a couple years ago in a 1-hour interview where they were sitting down talking about a book that he just wrote, and he was lucid, he was coherent, he was able to string together sentences and thoughts, and he's still brilliant. There are people who are like that. You have guys in their 80s and 90s who don't lose it. It's not an age thing. It's not just because he's 82. It's because he's 82 and is in cognitive decline that we're talking about his age. Donald Trump is almost as old. He's, 3 years younger, 4 years younger than Joe Biden? But people don't have the same concern for Donald Trump. Donald Trump does not appear diminished. He is the same guy. You could say what Donald Trump says is stupid. You don't agree with it. He's bombastic, or he goes off on these weird tangents. And I'd say, okay, but that's no different than it was 4 years ago. He's not a different person than he was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Joe Biden seemed like a different person. And 4 years ago, Joe Biden seemed old. So 4 years later, it's gotten worse. And everyone saw that last night. You can say whatever you want about the way Trump articulates problems, but the man is still coherent. He is. He has a way of speaking that doesn't always resonate with people, but he knows what he is saying. He could have done a better job explaining issues last night, but he's not different. He's not a different man than he was 4 years ago. He seems energetic. He seems invigorated. He still has whatever that is, whatever he's done in his life that gives him that energy. He still got it. Joe Biden seemed old. He seemed slow. He seemed forgetful. He trailed off. He mumbled. He got confused. It was a bad performance that made him look frail and weak and befuddled and just like an elderly man. And it's bad. It's a bad look. We're going to talk about a couple different things that were actually said. I don't think this was a debate of substance. No one cares. No one is going to really remember that they were getting into juicy, meaty bits into this. That's not what they're going to remember. They're going to remember there were a couple good one-liners, and they're going to remember Joe Biden's age. That's really it. And part of that is, I want to give a shout-out here to the moderators, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper. That was one of the best, if not the best, performance by a moderator I've ever seen, because they understood the role, which is they are not to be a part of the debate. It is not their job to fact check people. It is not their job to jump in with their own thoughts and opinions. Their job is to ask questions and allow the candidates to respond to the questions. They did a great job. I was concerned because Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are obviously very anti-Trump, but they did a great job. They were the same with both candidates. They really did remain impartial and neutral. I thought it was a great job by the moderators. They did a thing where they would ask a question, and they did this a number of times where the candidates wouldn't really answer the question, but they said something to Trump like, what are you going to do about childcare? And he said, actually, I want to finish my thought for the previous thing. He ranted, and then he stopped talking, and they would go, well, Mr. Trump, you have 40 seconds left, and my question was about childcare. Would you like to respond with the 40 seconds you have left? Okay, that's great. You didn't fact check, didn't try and take sides, didn't do anything. Just redirected and reminded, hey, you got more time left, 60 seconds left. Would you like to actually address the question I asked you, because you didn't really address it? I thought it was a great performance. Good job. Let's remember, though, how this debate came about. Joe Biden didn't want to use the Presidential Debate Forum, the group that has put on presidential debates for the last 40 years. Does that sound about right? 40 years? He said no. So he went to CNN, picked his own moderators, picked his own format, made his own rules. No audience, no huddles in between, all of these different things that were designed to help him. Donald Trump agreed immediately. He agreed to all the rules that Joe Biden set that were going to be beneficial to Joe Biden because Joe Biden set all the rules. And it just highlighted how confident Trump was going into this, but it also says how good he is as a negotiator, because it was pointed out earlier this week that he said that if he had negotiated at all, if he had said, oh, I don't like that rule, you're trying to do this, or I don't like that rule, how can you just change the entire format of the debate? I don't like blah, 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 whatever it was. They would have been then used as an excuse to say that he was trying to get out of a debate, and Joe Biden could have shut it down. But he didn't. He agreed to the debate immediately, which put Joe Biden in a pickle because he had put out the debate, and now Trump agreed to it, so he couldn't get out of it. It was a terrible idea for Joe Biden to debate. I don't know who let the man on stage. Maybe they thought they were going to juice him up with a cocktail of some uppers that was going to power him through. But whatever it was, it did not go well, and everyone saw it. It was bad. We have some highlights here we're going to play. Let me pull up one right now, because a bunch of things were said on both sides that I thought were ridiculous. By the way, this was when I said in the intro that this was the easiest debate in history. It absolutely was. I was sitting on the couch. I was watching it. The moderator would come on. They'd ask a question, and I would give an answer. I said, this is what they should say. Well, this is what they should say. And it amazed me how bad they did at answering the questions. I think I hope this is not just my ego talking. If you would have put me on the stage with these men running for president of the United States, I would have dismantled them. They do not know how to debate. They do not have a firm grasp of the ideas or the consequences of their actions. They don't. It's awkward for me to have to talk about this because I've acknowledged I'm going to vote for Trump. I voted for Donald Trump in 2020, and I'm going to do it again. Donald Trump does not understand the issues. I didn't think that in 2016. I didn't vote for him in 2016. I don't think he has the best grasp of all the issues all the time. But I don't care because what he demonstrated during his presidency from 2016 to 2020, what he demonstrated in those 4 years was that he relied on people who understood things and he made good decisions. I don't think he's the policy wonk. He's not in there fine-tuning all the levers of government, but he has surrounded himself with people who actually understand things and do a good job. And that's all I care about. Joe Biden hasn't done that. Joe Biden has a bunch of morons around him who don't seem to understand anything, even basic economic policy, like the guy who couldn't explain how money or the economy actually works, who Joe Biden put in charge of the economy, and he can't even explain how money is created. He doesn't understand fractional reserves in banks. Just nonsensical people. Donald Trump didn't do that. So when I say Donald Trump doesn't understand the issues, I don't really care that he doesn't understand it as well. What he is he's honest about his diagnosis of the issues. He knows what the issues are, and he wants to address them. And how he'll address them is by putting people in charge and then doing what they say, which is what he did the first 4 years, which is great. Joe Biden understands the issues, kind of, but not really, and then has the wrong prescriptions, which he has then implemented, which make everything worse. It's way worse to be Joe Biden than Donald Trump at that point. Anyway, let's play a couple clips, and we're going to talk about some things, because there was a lot of things said. Let me make sure this is on. Okay, good there, good there. Okay. All right. Okay, let's play this first clip here.
Believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas, torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people?"
Okay, so it's hard to understand him because of the mumbling and the fact that his mouth hole is filled with potatoes. But he basically said, they asked him, do you think that all these people who support Donald Trump are anti-democracy? That was the question he was asked. The obvious answer, if you are Joe Biden, is no. No, I don't think that. That's not what I believe. I think that, here's the answer. Ask me that question, Jake Tapper. Do you think that the people who support Donald Trump are anti-democracy? No. No, Jake, I don't think that. Because I think the American people are good and honest and decent. My concern is that this man to my right is a charlatan and a liar and an insurrectionist. And they have put their faith in this man because they believe him to be other things. I do not think the American people are anti-democracy. I believe that they have been fooled by a con man. I think the American people are smart enough to see that, and the more legal trouble Donald Trump gets in, the more that he is allowed to speak about his retribution and the way that he intends to treat the rule of law. I believe that the American people will recognize that this man is a tyrant and could be a danger to democracy. That's the answer if you're Joe Biden. That's what you say. What you don't say is, I think that the people who vote for Donald Trump, they know enough about him. I realize he doesn't know what he's saying, but he just agreed that, yes, the people who support Donald Trump, the people in MAGA or the Republicans who vote for Donald Trump are a threat to democracy. This is a terrible thing to say, because do we remember when Obama said this about the bitter clingers? Oh, there's a section in the middle of the country, these bitter clingers who hang on to their guns and religion. Not a good idea. What about when Hillary said something about the basket of deplorables? Things like this lose elections. People do not like it when you say that they are no good, and when you have issues, when they are bad people. They don't like being told that. It's not really a fun thing. This was a big mistake by Joe Biden to say. This might be his deplorables moment, which is not a good thing. We got another one here. Play number 2. Oh, there I am. Hello. All right. Number 2.
Move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look,
move until we get.
Okay. So this is just one of the stumbles. Joe Biden had a lot of stumbles during this debate. He had many times where he trailed off or mumbled or seemed incoherent. This was the biggest one. Donald Trump said, Joe Biden gave an answer. He had mush mouth. He did not do a good job of saying anything. And at the end of it, Donald Trump said, well, I don't know what he just said. I bet he doesn't know what he just said. Oof. Ow. Debates are often summarized in an instant. There's a moment that pops up that you remember from debates. And I think the most obvious one for me, at least, was in 2016 when you had Donald Trump tell Hillary, she said, it's a good thing you're not going to be in charge of the law. And he said, yeah, because you'd be in jail. The only thing I remember about the debate is that line. It was a brutal line that was, it's funny. It's funny because he said, you're a criminal and you don't want me to win because you know you're a criminal and you're going to be in jail. And it won him a debate where no one remembers it 8 years later, what happened in that debate, except for that moment. Or the last debate when Joe Biden told Donald Trump when he was all amped up and talking too much, Joe Biden just told him to shut up, man. And you go, oh, man, that's not a good look for Donald Trump because everyone's like, you're being a jerk and you need to be quiet. And Joe Biden just told you to shut up, man. And it's not good. This moment right here encapsulates this debate to me, where Donald Trump gets an opportunity to make a joke and he says, hey, I don't know what that guy just said. He doesn't know what he just said, and leaves it at that. It acknowledges the fact that Joe Biden is diminished in a kind of a funny and bad and hilarious way, but it's just so true. Although, actually, as I'm looking at my clips, hey, get over here. As I'm looking at my clips, this next one I like even more. This is the level of discourse that we've come to expect from our American politicians. This right here is about as good as it gets.
President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 225 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's it. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest line. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
But I had, you know,
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to...
Let's not act like children.
President Biden?
My favorite part. My favorite part in the entire debate, right there, where he says, Joe Biden says they're arguing. First of all, Joe Biden called him fat. You probably didn't hear it, but he said, this guy said he was sick. He said numbers that don't exist in real life. He said, this guy said he's 6'4" and 213, 30, 38, 6. And he just said a bunch of numbers, and he goes 34, 35. And it's like, okay, well, I think what he was trying to say is that Donald Trump said he was 6'4", 235 pounds. Seems a little light, but doesn't matter. He said this, and then they get into this whole argument about golf, and it made me laugh because this is the best we can do. This is the top of what we can hope for in America is two old men arguing over their golf game. I saw everything Joe Biden said last night. The only thing that Donald Trump looked personally offended by was when Joe Biden said he was a 6 handicap. And look at his face. Actually, hold on. I'm going to show you his face. Look at his face. Look at the man's face when he said he's a 6 handicap.
You can see. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is and take a look at what he is, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Look at it. Hold on. Here it is. Look at his face. He says I'm a 6 handicap. If you're not watching this, just the look of shock and disbelief. He shakes his head. He looks to the side. He says, oh my God. Donald Trump never showed being more upset than that particular moment. Because from all accounts, Donald Trump's actually a very good golfer. I'm not much of a golfer myself, but Donald Trump is a very good golfer. He looked so personally offended that Joe Biden said he's a 6 handicap. And then he said, never happened. He said, of all the lies you've told, this is the biggest. You were never a 6. and then he says that he said, this guy challenged me to a golf game. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. And I'm like, it's just great. It's just a great line. That actually is probably the funniest line. The one where Trump said the thing about him not knowing what he's saying. I don't know what he said. He doesn't know what he's saying. That's a good line. But him saying, this guy, he can't hit the ball 50 yards. That was also a very good line. Donald Trump's funny. I don't care who you are. Donald Trump's funny. Obviously, Donald Trump is more fit than Joe Biden, and anyone who says otherwise is just delusional. I don't know what to tell you. It's sad, and actually I can back that up with some evidence because right here, this last clip, this was taken by a cell phone and zoomed in. Sorry for the terrible quality, but this is Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden leaving the stage of the debate last night.
Not the first word on what those voters might make.
Turn that volume off. So what we have here is Joe Biden so gingerly being held by Joe Biden, walking off the stage, shuffling like a man with 2 broken ankles. He comes to this step. He pauses. He said, oh, damn, it's a step. He turns sideways. He takes the step. He takes the other little step very slowly. It would be like if you were trying to hold on to your grandmother while you're walking to the car. That's what it looks like. The way he takes this step, oh, God. And it's no wonder they turned the cameras off because it is not a good look. And obviously, Donald Trump is the fitter of the two. It just is. I don't know what to tell you. Donald Trump didn't need help to walk down one step. He just doesn't. It's sad. It's sad that these are the people that we have come up with as the best of the best. These are the guys that we have to lead our country. And I wish we had better choices up there. I really do. It's almost elder abuse at this point. Looking at the way that Joe Biden is being treated, how could anyone think it's the right thing to do to put that man up there? It'd be like if your grandfather had dementia and you kept on trying to pressure him to sign checks, knowing that he shouldn't be doing it, knowing that it's not right of you to take advantage of this demented old man. That's what it's like watching Joe Biden right now. And it's sad. It really is, because nobody wants this for the country, and nobody wants this for somebody who's old. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't think he's a good person. I really don't. But I don't think it's right the way that he's being treated right now. I don't think this is okay. I wouldn't be comfortable. If that was my grandfather, I wouldn't want this for him. He doesn't seem to know what's going on. He looked terrified the entire debate. His mouth was open. His eyes were staring off into the distance. He looked like one of those old men who gets that permanent scared look on his face because he doesn't know what's going on. And that was him. And the fallout, for him to have to endure this fallout, it is terrible. He is now having to watch as whatever legacy he thought he was going to leave in his wake is just demolished, because now any news channel that he could turn on, the New York Times had 18 articles today, something like 18. I didn't really count them, but every article was talking about how Joe Biden needs to step aside. Joe Biden needs to pull out of the race so that we can put someone else in, because there's no way this man can beat Donald Trump. The CNN, I heard that all the anchors at CNN, they had to be put on suicide watch. They were all so upset. They were all so upset about this debate that they were basically shedding tears on air. They said, "Oh my God, the Democrats are running around. The DNC is currently on fire. Everyone's pulling their hair out. People are weeping in the corner. They don't know what to do." And you did it to yourself. People have been saying for years that Joe Biden is diminished and you should probably come up with better options. And you just spent the whole time with your head in the sand, deny, thinking that Donald Trump was going to fall flat on the job. And now that he isn't, now that he's running a good campaign and your candidate looks like the reanimated corpse of the president, he doesn't look like the president. He looks like the president. I heard that the president replaced his personal physician with his personal necromancer. That's what I heard. That's just a rumor going around. I can't say it for sure. I don't know if it's true. But I know that they said that before the debate, they shot him up with a bunch of drugs, and then they made a deal with the devil to prolong his death so that he could keep going. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying the rumors are out there. Okay, I'm pulling a Trump here. The rumors are out there. His personal physician's actually a necromancer, and he's really the reanimated corpse of the president. It's not even Joe Biden anymore. But, they didn't realize that. I've been saying that for 4 years. I've been saying, man, this guy looks terrible, especially in the last year. He looks bad. The Democrats denied it, and now they can't deny it because he had a debate 4 years ago where he actually pulled off an okay performance, and people said, "Oh, dang, he did a good job." They were expecting him to be able to do that again. It's 4 years later, guys. He's worse than he has ever been, and the American people can see it because the media, the corporate media, thinks the American people are morons. They really do. They lie. They distort. They are just bad actors in so many ways. And they think the American people are going to fall for it, but you can't hide that. You cannot hide how Joe Biden looked. You cannot hide his confusion and his slurring and the trailing off. You can't. And so they are freaking out. The entire Democratic Party is freaking out because they can't lie about the president's health anymore. They just can't. They said he had a cold. Okay. I don't know. I've had a cold. I don't think it made me act like that. Have you ever had a cold? Colds are bad. They're not fun. Does it ever make you forget what's going on? Does it ever make you mumble and slur and trail off? How bad was your cold? If your cold's that bad, you should be in the ER. You shouldn't be on a presidential debate stage. Maybe this is Joe Biden's flu game, except when Michael Jordan had, I almost said George Michael. When Michael Jordan had the flu, he won the game. That was kind of what made it the flu game. That was kind of what made it special. Joe Biden had the flu and lost badly. There is a possible conspiracy theory out there, which I don't know. I'm kind of lukewarm on. I thought it would be impossible for them to replace Joe Biden. I've gone over that before, why that is, but I just thought it would be impossible. But now you ask yourself an interesting question. Well, why did they move the debate up? Normally the debates happen later in the election cycle. They moved it up. Why? And it wasn't Donald Trump that did that. It was Joe Biden's people that moved the debate up. Why could that be? Could it be that they knew he was going to do bad and they were going to use it as an excuse to force him to step aside, to swing someone else in there? Listen, the Democrats could win this election. They could. I think that there could be some dirty, nasty tricks, and It's all fair in love and war. I don't expect the Democrats to play nice. I don't expect the Republicans to play nice. They're not friends. You want to win. When people want to win, they want to win. But could the Democrats really subvert their own constituency and replace someone? With who? Who is the obvious candidate that they think could beat Donald Trump? I don't know. But it's just an interesting conspiracy theory I've seen thrown out there. It was going around a bunch on X this morning, so I just wanted to kind of throw it out there myself and see. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know anything. We just pretend. I think I'm going to leave it there for the day. That debate, I'm sure all you people out there watched it. It just, we can do better. Come on. We got 4 years. Let's figure it out, guys. Next time around, let's really put some people up there who can go at the substance. We don't need ad hominems. We don't need pejoratives. We don't need any attacks. We just don't. Let's talk about the issues, explain our positions to the American people, and then let the American people decide which of the positions on the issues they like better. Let's quit having a popularity contest based on a letter that someone puts next to their name, whether it's a D or an R or an L or a G. But let's not vote for the G's, guys. They're a bunch of dummies. Let's just stop having that kind of popularity contest. Let's have an ideas contest. Let's have a contest of ideas and results. That would be way better. Next time, maybe we can do it because we're certainly not doing it this time. This time, we got to vote for Donald Trump because Joe Biden's terrible. That's just the way it is. You can vote for whoever you want. I'm not going to tell you what you have to do, but you should. You should not vote for Joe Biden. I'll tell you that. If you really can't vote for Donald Trump for whatever reason, vote for Kennedy. Write in somebody else. You can't vote for Joe Biden. His administration is a disgrace and has done a terrible job of governing the United States. You just can't vote for him. It'd be bad. It'd be a bad choice. Technically, you can vote for him, but what I'm saying is it'd be a bad choice. Anyway, we're going to leave it there for the week. As always, I appreciate your support out there. For everyone who watches, comments, likes, subscribes, all that stuff. It is great. I appreciate every one of you. And I will catch you guys next Friday.